Hi and welcome. My name is Mattias Lögdberg and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about security. We're going to talk with an Azure product called API Management, and we're going to use a third-party identity provider called Auth0. So we're going to build up a trust and add an extra security layer on this. First of all, we might want to look into how the setup is looking like, and then we can start working. So let's just switch. So there we go, and let's have black. Yep, our setup today looks like this. We have an API management instance. We actually have a function, and we have a Cosmos DB. There we go, and we have some data flowing. I have produced a few APIs. So in this part, I have created an API called orders. So that's what we got. And everything like this is today defaultly secured with something called subscription, sorry for writing, key. Let's just pretend that you see that. Sorry for my bad typing, it's hard to use on this one. But anyway, so regularly set up with API management, we're just adding a function and a Cosmos DB. But what we want to achieve today is actually adding an extra security layer on top of this called OAuth. And we're going to use that with a third-party identity provider named Auth0. So let's just add this one up here, Auth0. And in order to make sure that our API management instance actually are validating the security, we need to build a trust. So we need to create a trust between these two. After we have achieved that, we can start looking into adding the security to our API. But let's just first go in and check how this trust part looks like. So, and let's go ahead and let's just jump in. So this is my Auth0 instance, and I've just created a developer version of this just to use it. And let's go ahead and check it out. This is my API management instance. So I'm just using the same. I'm using a consumption-based API management instance just to make sure we can have this demo. Inside of this API management instance, I have an API orders, and I have version, and I have a few operations. And all of these are protected via subscription key as default. I'm going to use Postman as trying it out, and as you can see here, I can try it out. So this is the same URL, MLogdberg, Azure API Management. And then I have my subscription key added, and I press send, and I will get all my orders. Awesome. So this is how this is done. And now we want to add this extra security. So what we need to do first is actually do a version. So let's just go ahead. Before we build this trust part, we need to create our own virtualization of our API management instance inside of Auth0. This is because as an identity provider, you want to grant access to this one in the long run and also have an identifier of your API. So let's go ahead and start that. And let's go ahead. Let's jump into Auth0. So Auth0 has many things in it. We're going to go further down it afterwards, but let's just focus now for APIs. So in this API section, I can create all my APIs that I need. So I can create an API for my order inside of my API management instance, or I can create an API for my whole API management instance. There are some good, bads, and quirks or differences, I would say rather, in this, and I will not jump too far, but if you want to be able to use the same token with the same 8 different APIs, I would suggest you go ahead and use one instance here for your whole API management instance rather, and use permissions that we'll look into later. Let's go ahead and let's create this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add a Lögdberg API, and we're going to need the URL. So let's go ahead and pick that one. So I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to copy the URL. There we go. And let's go back to this one. Perfect. Let's create. So this is kind of what we need now. So this is all the settings we need in our Auth0 instance actually, because this is the thing that we need to start with. When you do this, you can see that we get a quick start and we get some code samples to actually be able to set this up. This one is using .NET MVC. I will just use Postman, so we will just use simple path. Let's go ahead and look at settings. There's nothing strange over here. We have a bunch of settings and I'm not going to change anything. And later on we'll go into the machine-to-machine applications. Yes, we're going to do that. But for now, I'm just going to focus on this part. So this is just building the trust. That is what we are doing. So in order to do this, we need to go back into our API management instance and we need to go into our API. And let's go ahead and pick an operation. We're going to do this for get my orders for now. Get all orders, sorry. Get all orders was one we were using. Let's go ahead and look into this and what we can do. So now we are back into to our API management instance, and we need to go ahead and add the security. So in this part, in API management, there's policies added, and the policies can be security, it can be transformation, it can be a bunch of things. We will just focus now for the security, so we will look into that. Into adding a snippet like this, you can do that via show snippets, you can see. And I know that I want to use the validate job token part. And if I'm pushing that one, it will add and it will go ahead. If you're interested in reading more, you can go ahead and actually look into Google and you can actually see this token, validate job token. So this is the access policies path, and then you got an explanation on all different values that you can use. So this is really good if you want to experiment or to build a greater access or something like that. But for now, I'm just going to use the standard one. And what I can do first is just set a header. What header is the token is going to be supplied in? And I'm just going to use authorization. And I hope I'm using that, spelling that right. I'm not. Authorization. Because that's the standard header. And I will not change any standard values. We will still require scheme, explanation time, sign tokens, and so forth. So that's good. The next important part is the OpenID config URL. The OpenID config URL provides my policy, in this case, all necessary information to actually validate the token, which means that I can give it, I don't need to provide much more information than that. I just need to add that, and it will get all necessary information to validate the token. So what it gives is, if I'm jumping back to my drawing, is that it's giving a, let's go ahead, there we go. It's that you actually load in. So this part, OpenID config URL, is going to go ahead and put my API management instance into config, and it's going to return all values needed. So this is doing a one-time thing, and this helps out in the long run, because then I can supply a token in my request and it will automatically just validate it based on that config. We will do some small things, but we'll start using that config. When we want that config, it's a little bit tricky to get. So I have found an issue where it is. So this is what I need. I need this URL, discover URL. So I'm going to copy that one, go ahead. And let's go back to this one, and we're adding that to this. Now I need my your Auth0 domain, as it says, so I need to go and collect that one. And the easiest way to do this is actually going into my API and go to quick start, because authority down here is the same as our instance. So let's just copy that one, and we will replace this part. Now I have provided the configuration, so now we're going to be able to go ahead and do that. So I can remove this signing key. I don't need that one, and but I will also add this to my issue. So why I'm doing this is because even if the config is coming from config, I can also put a restriction that a specific issue is used. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to put in my authority down there, and I'm going to put in issues. I'm going to remove claims, required claims, because we don't do that for now. We just want to have the security of another token. Now, next thing we need to do is audience. So basically is that the config is going to go ahead and say that this token is valid. It's not going to say anything about how, if it's going to be valid for this API instance. That's what you're configuring in audience and in issuer. So you can use those to mimic, or in the, as I removed the claim check, you can also check other claims as well. But for now we need to have the audience. And if you go back to API details, the audience is right here. So this is the same thing as the identifier of our API. So let's go ahead and look at that. You can see that the identifier over here is the same. So this is how Auth0 knows that when someone's signing in to Auth0 and requesting access to your API, they know that they have been granted that access, because that is something that we rely on the Auth0 from now. So let's go ahead and add that to the audience and go ahead like that. Perfect. And just click save. Sorry, it's always like this. There's some hiccup over here, so you need to add a slash. Let's just save it. Sorry, again, I copied too much. Let's just remove double HTTPS. That's gonna be bad. So now I have a validate job on this one, which means that if I go back to my part over here, it's gonna fail. I'm getting unauthorized. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. And if we go back to our whiteboard, this is what we have achieved now. We have actually built a trust over here. So this is actually achieved. We also added a validation, a GVT valid. So we need to have that. We have that as a requirement on our operation now. We need to have a token. And in order to do this, I'm gonna call them machine-to-machine application, because that's what I'm using today. But our API consumer, they need to actually get the token, and then get it back. And now we're actually moving our security or our authorization process into Auth0. So Auth0 is gonna say access or not. So it's going to be able to actually determine if everything goes well and give a green buck, or if everything goes bad and go and make a cross sign. So this makes it much more simple for us to manage security from now, or give a higher security. And now when they do that, they can add this to this one and add the token. So let's go ahead and create a representation of our consumer in Auth0. So now we need to create a machine-to-machine application of our consumer. So this will be the same as register a new consumer. So this will be rather simple as well. So let's go ahead back in to our API, Auth0, API details. So let's go ahead and go to applications. So now I need to create a new application. I will do that, and I will have my M2M application of consumer. Sorry, I'm gonna go consumer A. That's awesome. And I'm gonna put a machine-to-machine application, because that's what I want. I want to be able to use this via Postman and to go ahead and retrieve my token, and also then retrieve access to API. Awesome. Directly when I do this, I can grant some access. And so I will be able to actually grant access right here to my API. I don't have any scope set up yet. We will go through that in another session, but I can go ahead and authorize the full API for that. So that's nice. So let's go ahead. We have a consumer A. Awesome. Let's go ahead. Let's use it. So under settings, I have some information. So I have a client ID and client secret. In my Postman, let's go ahead and see what I've done. So by the way, so now I can actually create this get token request. So this part is what we're doing now, the get token, what we're going to look into now. So in order to do that, I can do a REST call via Postman. I can use get token for a customer, and I can use this one. So let's go ahead and take those client ID, copy, and go back to Postman, and let's put it client ID. So as you can see, my audience is my API instance, and my client credentials is the way I want to use it, and I need a client ID and a client secret. I just copied the client ID. Now I need the client secret as well. So let's copy that one. Let's go ahead and switch back to Postman, and let's go to this one. There we go. Let's try it out. This is the URL which is we're posting it to, and this is my now token. So in order to check it out, I can actually go ahead and inspect my token. I can use this token as well. I will inspect it first. So I'm using something called evt.io, and oh, sorry, let's go delete that one. I'm not sure. Let's go add this one. So this is my token, and as you can see, it has a ISS, which is an issue. So this needs to be the same as the issue that we provided, put it up in API Management instance, the job token part. So if you go ahead and you look at this one, this issuer needs to be contained in this list. So it has to be the same. So let's go ahead and check. Nice, I have the issuer. Awesome. And we got client credentials, and we have audience. The another important part, this is the audience. And this also has to be the same as my API has and an audience. And this looks promising. It looks really promising. I have put up in my Postman story that I'm going to add this to something called access token. So if I'm copying this one and I go to my get all orders, which is not going to work anymore, I need to add the authorization header, and I need to add a bearer. Oh, sorry. Bearer, and then I can go ahead and add that access token and to that one. So the bearer, you say what schema it is, and if you're not remembering, I can go ahead and look into this one that we actually require the bearer schema. So we have set this required schema bearer. So that's what it is, and let's just set send. Voila! Now we've added security, and we got that as well. So now we can actually use this one. So let's go ahead and let's go into this one. So now my machine to machine can go ahead and it can access the token and it can get it back. Then it can use that token to get a valid request inside of our API management instance. And we're moving security to be part of API management, but also in Auth0. So in order to understand this, we can actually reject information. So if I go back to my application details and I go to my part consumer A and go to APIs, I can then just do like that. It's unauthorized now, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my token, because the token is valid as long as it's there. But if I'm going to get a new one, I'm going to get access denied, because I'm no longer having access to my Auth0 instance to my API in Auth0. But as soon as I add it again, it's going to be working. So let's go ahead and try it out, and you will see that I got the token. Awesome. So this is how you set up a rather small setup with Auth0. So now we have secured our API with an extra security layer of Auth0. We can also use this for more things, and we're going to go ahead and do that in another session. And let's hope you like it, and please leave a comment, feedback, or question, and help me out doing this. And next time we'll talk about role-based access to be able to improve this setup even more. That's going to be awesome. This is all for this time. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.